Greetings to my respected elders, my brothers and my sisters, and to all those who are not yet believers. If you are new to the channel, be sure and hit the like and subscribe button. Share this content with anybody that you think might find it useful or beneficial, inshallah. Send blessings and peace upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all things, as He is the creator and sustainer of all things. So, for those of us who live in Western countries, and even for those of us who may live in Muslim countries, fitna abounds when it comes to the opposite gender. All right? A lot of times we place ourselves in these positions where we have to communicate with the opposite gender, and we think we are strong enough to withstand the temptation, and they are strong enough to withstand the temptation. And even if you are, you don't necessarily know what that other person may be thinking or what their intentions might be. Allahu alam, only Allah knows, and He knows best on this. So, as a preventative measure, Islam forbids certain things. We do this to protect the sanctity of marriage, and for those of us who are not married, we do that to protect our deen, to keep us from falling into temptation and committing zina. If you go to university or into a 9-to-5 job, workplace, there are going to be people there who are non-Muslim, and they're going to be the opposite sex. That's just the facts of life for most of us. Some of us are blessed enough to live in a Muslim country where that's not a situation. However, if it is, do not lean on your own nafs and think that you can protect your Jannah, your akhirah, your afterlife. Don't think you can do that, because anybody can be broke down. The shaitan doesn't work in big, gigantic steps all the time. The shaitan will work in very small ways. He will take a crack and turn a crack into a crater. So, something you may see as an innocent conversation, over time builds a certain type of familiarity. And with that familiarity, guards get lowered. You start to lower your guard, and people will begin to test the waters. So you have to be very careful about that. Sisters, if you are a hijabi, you are someone who adorns the physical hijab, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless and reward you for that. But there are times in which maybe you're thinking about this and maybe you're not. But just as a gentle reminder, when you make video calls and things of that nature with your sister friends or your mother, whoever it is, your father, whoever, you don't really know where they might be at the time unless you've planned this call ahead of time. But you might not really know where they're going to be at for the duration of your phone call. So it's better to stay protected, inshallah, just to be on the safe side. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's the best rule to live by. If it's preventative, it's easier to prevent something than it is to cure something. Brothers, if your wives or your sisters or your mothers or whoever it is in the process of making a call to another sister, by all means, for the sake of Allah, distance yourself for the duration of that call and allow them to speak as women speak, without the added stressor and presence of you making it a bit more unrelaxed for them. Whether we care to admit it or not, when the opposite gender is present and we're aware of it, we act differently. Some of us may be more reserved, and some of us may be more extroverted during those situations, and that will draw extra attention that may place a seed of desire within someone, or it may cause an argument between you and your spouse. If your spouse is offended, or you get off the phone and say, I really like brother so-and-so, that's Sister Amina's husband, he's so funny, he said such and such. And even though it may be innocent to you, this will plant a big seed of doubt for your husband. And now he's thinking, well, maybe I'm not living up to Sister Amina's husband's standards. What is it that, maybe I'm not a funny guy, but he is. And it might make a husband feel lacking in some area. And vice versa. This goes for brothers just as much, if not more. A lot of times, brothers think that they can kind of bend the rules and flex the rules a little bit because, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts us in charge of the safety, providing and protecting of our women. And we get a little bit too comfortable flexing that muscle and try to crack down on the sisters, try to crack down on our wives or whatever, or our daughters or our sisters or whatever the case may be, and tell them, oh, you're just making a big deal out of nothing. I was just being myself. I had to come in and ask you if you wanted such and such from the market or whatever. So just for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, try to be aware of that. We could avoid a lot of relationship problems, a lot of fitna, a lot of things could be avoided if we try to practice that mindfulness. I know that communication has to be had. I'm going to the pharmacy right now. I have to pick up a prescription. So I know that I'm going to have to communicate in the pharmacy with, most likely, someone of the opposite sex. I can't go in where I'm living at, especially, and demand, hey, you send that male pharmacist up here to wait on me, because they're going to think I'm crazy, and they're going to look at me like I'm crazy, and they're probably going to laugh at me and tell me he's busy. So, with that being the case, I have to deal with, most likely, an employee of the opposite gender. So, in order to protect myself from that type of fitna happening for myself, or placing a female in the position of fitna and temptation abounding, then I will do my best, inshallah, to follow all the guidelines set down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for you brothers and you sisters that are single, I know that this is a lot harder too, because you're always on the lookout. You're always on the lookout, unfortunately, especially living in Western countries, and you feel like you're alone, because that's what we've been spoon-fed, is that we have to have somebody in order to be completed, not realizing that this deen of al-Islam is what really completes us, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what fills up that hole in our heart. So we tend to be on the lookout for opportunity, and nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. But inshallah, can strive to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can strive your best to remedy the situation as best as possible for the sake of Allah, and for the sake of your sanctity in your dunya, here in the dunya, and also to protect your paradise, inshallah. That's the hope and the goal. So anyway, if this has been useful, be sure and share it with somebody you know, and be sure and like and subscribe. And thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you for everybody who supports the channel, for everybody who donates. I appreciate that. I'm working on getting some of my donations up so I can get some new equipment, inshallah. So I really appreciate all my Muslim brothers and my sisters and my respected elders, and even the non-believers, those who are not yet believers. I appreciate you for watching too. And I always try to respond to the comments, even if it's just long enough to make a quick dua. I cannot always get to them, but Allah knows that I try my best. I also have other things, pressing responsibilities in my life that I have to attend to. Full-time student, full-time dad, and there's just a lot on my plate sometimes. So with that being said, thank you, each and every one of you who participate, for liking and subscribing and for commenting. So you can also leave your thoughts down in the comments below on this issue of mixing of the sexes and things, and let me know what you think, and maybe some situations that happen in your life and how you handle them, and I will do my very best, inshallah, to respond to each and every one of them. So until next time, remember that there is one God and only one God, and He alone is worthy of worship.